Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of One-on-One Coaching, where we believe we not only have the right to control our lives, we deserve to create them. In the prior episode, I spoke a little bit about the book, The Five Dysfunctions of a Team by Patrick Lencioni, and I touched on the first dysfunction, which is absence of trust, which creates so many issues. But without trust, there are a lot of things that cannot happen. And one of the things that happens the most is that people just want to play the role of being invulnerable. They just don't want to open up to anybody, and that creates a lot of distress and a lot of issues later on, which it only makes it worse for having a high performing team, and especially when it comes to the dysfunction number two, which is a fear of conflict. And fear of conflict, the result of that, when team members are not willing to engage each other in a passionate conversation, probably, or maybe just an honest to goodness um, argument about the best way to do things, or where the team wants to go, or just simply having conversation about the discrepancies and the way there are different perspectives. It's what some people call sometimes crucial conversations, but it's not just that. But it just not being able to trust somebody creates the space for people to not want to have a conversation or to have a honest to goodness argument about specific things related to the team performance and the direction and the strategy and things like that. And evidently, what ends up happening is, since we don't trust each other to share fully what we think and why we think about whatever the issue is for a discussion, what you find is that there's usually a lot of silence, which is that concept of artificial harmony. You think everything's fine because no one's really arguing about your idea or the direction of the team. No one, everyone seems to be okay. There's a lot of silence. There's no arguments. There's no nothing. That is actually not a good sign. If no one's actually willing to share their ideas, their perspective, and the way they feel about something, you are most likely in a place where there's not enough trust for people to open up. Why? Because they don't trust each other, so they don't want to open up if they don't understand something, or if they disagree with the direction of the team. Because if you do that and you don't trust other people, what makes your reaction is to think that if you cause trouble, you are going to get fired, you're going to be scolded, you're going to be misunderstood, and it's just going to give you a lot of pain that you actually don't want. I speak of this in full conviction because I was there. I lived it for many years, where people were not willing to have an argument. I was the one that usually had those moments where I would share my thing regardless of what other people might think, and I obviously got in trouble for it. And it didn't work well for me, and probably doesn't work well for others. But if you're in a situation in which your team's not willing to have a good conversation, in a sense that they both parties or whoever the people involved in the argument are able to share things and leave that conversation as still good friends, maybe, or like in full respect of each other, that is an indication that there is a dysfunction. There is fear or conflict, and there's definitely absence of trust. So those are the two first dysfunctions. I'll see you in the next ones. Let me know in the comments if you like any of this, what insights you got, what are your ideas on the subject, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good one. Bye.